Number 10, Iceman. Bobby Drake made his first X-Men debut in X-Men issue 1. Now his powers are pretty obvious. I mean, even his name alone should tip you off. He can lower his external and internal body temperature because there are nerves that regulate body temperature and they're found in a part of the brain called the hypothalamus. See, Bobby can override this nerve drastically. His mutation allows him to withstand sub-zero temperatures and turn into ice within seconds. He can fully control ice, snow, probably snow cones, realistically. He can freeze the moisture in the air just like Frozone and create anything that he imagines. He can also create cold clones of himself on a molecular level, so you won't even see him coming, but you'll definitely feel it. Number 9, Elixir. Josh Foley made his comic book debut in New Mutants Volume 2, Issue 5. Now he was detected by Cerebro, and his Omega power is actually quite helpful in this case. See, he obtains an Omega class healing ability, and around M-Day he was actually considered a general threat, weirdly enough. See, Elixir is able to control the biological structure of his and others' bodies. I mean, down to the genetic level. He can produce biomolecular energy whenever he chooses, affecting any matter that he chooses to come into contact with. So if he uses his powers too much, he'll pass out and just remain in a coma. It takes a toll on him. His DNA reboots itself, which is pretty impressive. I mean, I get a bruise and it hangs out for like an entire week. What's going on there? He was able to regrow Prodigy's heart in New X-Men Volume 2, Issue 39, and he cured X-23 of the legacy virus, and Josh himself says that he can cure Sabretooth from the inversion effect. What a combo. This guy can also bring people back from the dead. You can't really beat that. Number 8, Legion. David Haller made his comic debut in New Mutants issue 26. He was a child of Xavier and Gabriel Haller, who later became the Israel ambassador to the United Kingdom. So the parents, I mean, there's a lot of pressure there already. See, he was kind of an accident. It happens. The pair had an affair decades back, but Charles was unaware that she was pregnant when he left her. Now the child was of course born a mutant with telepathic and telekinetic abilities, but he also had the ability to cause destruction with just his mind. The old Charles gene coming into play. Scott Summers describes David as Omega level, and the reason he's named Legion, well, it comes from the biblical demon Legion, where a man was possessed by many evil spirits, because David has 3 different personalities. All the powers with all the personalities. That's a scary, you don't want that. You don't want to run into him. Number 7, Kid Omega. I mean, yeah, Omega is literally in his name, so we have to include Kid Omega. Meet Quintavious Quire. He made his first appearance in X-Men issue 134. He's been described as one of the most powerful telepaths next to Jean Grey, who may or may not be on this list later on. I'll never tell. But he was once a host of the Phoenix Force as well. He was one of Xavier's prized pupils until he put together the Omega Gang. He wasn't always a bad kid. It's just, you see, what happened was on his birthday, when he was still young, he received a call from his parents to say that, oh, you're adopted. Happy birthday. Awesome. And these kids are the hardest gang in town. They handle humans the way that they want, with violence, cool haircuts, and monologues, of course. Now he's been described as Omega level telepath and telekinetic and scion. Not bad for a kid. Number 6, Vulcan. He named himself after the Roman god of fire, so you already know that we're But Vulcan's real identity was that of Gabriel Summers. See, he was born after Cyclops and after Havoc. Well, not really born, he was surgically removed from his mother's body and then placed in an incubator accelerator, aged to be at his prime, and then sent to Earth to work for Devon Shikari, so a little bit different than the other guys. He escaped and was found by Moira McTaggart with no memories of who he is or where he came from, which is always good. But as a student, he was impressing Charles a lot, and all he wanted to do really was learn his abilities so he can help others. You can't beat that, come on, the guy, he's got a good heart. Sounds like the dream student. Now he can psionically manipulate energy however he wants. He can manipulate other mutant powers, and that's the scary part with Vulcan. He suppresses all of your superpowers. Emma Frost, Rachel Grey, and Xavier have all confirmed that after the events of M-Day, this alpha level mutant absorbed energies from the depowered mutants and then became an Omega level 1 himself. Number 5, Storm. Aurora Monroe made her debut in Giant-Sized X-Men issue 1. She was recruited by Charles and joined the team to save other original students from Krakoa. Now, she was appointed leader after several years of hard work, and Storm has been referred to as a witch before because her powers to control the air and the elements, all that jazz. I mean, fair, she's kind of witch-like. Now, things go up a notch in X-Men issue 135 during the Dark Phoenix saga. Sebastian Shaw calls her a weather witch. Adds the word weather before, okay, it's a bit specific. See, it's not just storms in Earth that Aurora can control, even in space she can summon natural energy. Doesn't matter where you are, she'll find you. Number 4, Mr. M. Mr. M first appeared in District X issue 2. His powers came to be after an accident, like most of them. See, he accidentally turned a boy, bullying his cousin, inside out, and then he was stuck like that for 3 hours. That's the worst thing I can think of, I think. He didn't have lots of friends, I mean, obviously. The only ones close to him was Hannah Levy, who was not an Omega level mutant per se, but she did eat bugs. After M Day, Mr. M himself was one of the few who kept his powers. Now those Omega level powers being, well, I mean, this guy can literally do it all. He can control machines, resurrect the dead, phase through objects, manipulate matter, telekinesis, telepathy, and much, much more. Number 3, Proteus. Kevin McTaggart is of course related to Moira McTaggart, as you could have guessed right then. Now he's the son of her and her husband Joseph. Now their marriage was awful. Joseph was a total piece of shit. He was abusive physically and mentally, so Moira got out of there. She didn't even tell Joseph that she was pregnant, and to be honest, it's probably for the best. Guy's the worst. So young Kevin and Moira lived together at her mutant research center off the coast of Scotland. Now Kevin, as he got older, manifested abilities, which basically was this uncontrollable need for power. See, he craved it, his body needed it, so Moira had to hide him. She kept him locked in a cell for years, only referred to as Mutant X, because she wanted to keep him safe, and also others, you know? So one day while Magneto was fighting the X-Men, his cell was damaged and he got out. Now since the isosteric energy in his cell was no longer holding him back, Kevin defeated Polaris, he defeated Multiple Man, and even escaped the Phoenix. He survived the Phoenix, that's crazy. Now his body was starting to burn out like Moira tried to prevent all this time. So the only solution here was that he had to possess another human host, and then another one after that, and so on and danforth. Now he renames himself Proteus, with his imagination being the only thing that limits his powers. He's made of psionic energy, and he too can warp reality. Every time he possesses a new host, he gets stronger and stronger until eventually the host burns out and then he has to possess another poor soul. What a horrible, vicious cycle. Number 2, Franklin Richards. I was the impossible boy who could dream the future. I was a god, born to be with the mutants, but also born into the Fantastic Four, which means I have twice as many enemies. Damn, you could say that again, Franklin. He was born in New York City. Franklin Richards is the son, of course, of Reed Richards and Sue Storm, and he is quoted from Galactus himself as the most powerful mutant ever. That is quite, put that on a resume, that sounds great. He's a mutant beyond Omega power, in fact. See, Franklin was a member of Gen X, and he's also a future X-Men member in the Ultimate X-Men comics. Now, some of his powers include vast reality warping, psionic powers, he has control over the universe, so that's cool, must be nice. Precognitive powers are also helpful even when he's dreaming. His dreams will tip him off on the future and what's going to happen in them. Now, the only dreams I have are the ones where my teeth are falling out, or I can't run and my legs are made of rubber or something like that, you know? It's not as fun. He can resurrect the dead, he can time travel, he can teleport, astral project, and he can duplicate planets and or people. So if your eyebrows aren't raised yet, that's fine, I can continue. At a young age, he was able to create a pocket universe. And in Fantastic Four issue number 604, this kid took not only 1, but 3 Celestials. One of them, he laid them out with just 1 punch. So impressive. And finally, number 1, Jean Grey. Of course, we have to end on Jean Grey. She is an Omega level mutant born with telekinetic and telepathic powers. She was one of the OG members of the X-Men. Now, seeing the potential in Jean's strength, the Phoenix Force attached itself to her while she was in space with the Fantastic Four. It was drawn to her natural power. See, Xavier himself felt like he had to hide her true powers from her when she was just a child. He locked some of her abilities away in her mind. So the Phoenix Force was like, I smell something, what is that? What's hiding somewhere? So this dark cosmic force started to change her, and she didn't just get more powerful, she ended up becoming, well, low-key, she kind of became a villain. She ended up destroying an entire solar system that killed like, I don't know, billions of people, and then she took her own life in order to keep the universe safe. Now, a few years later, it was actually revealed that it wasn't the Jean Grey that had died, just the Phoenix as a separate entity, which is, that's better. That's definitely better. Number 10, Brian Morrison. You know, the drummer from that one band? I don't know, he sounds like a drummer. We'll start with a recent addition to Marvel Comics. Brian Morrison made his first debut in X-Men Gold Volume 2, issue 36. He was a pretty average kid until, you know, he wasn't all of a sudden. He entered this frantic state, and then he was this living embodiment of power. He looked like he was made of lava almost. It was a scary situation. Buildings, roads, people, animals, all destroyed. Just do not get in his way. Now, Cerebro obviously caught this action, and then when the X-Men arrived, Kitty tried to reason with the new mutant, and it worked for a little bit. He calmed down, he went back to human mode, and then he was asked to come to Xavier Institute for Mutant Education and Outreach, you know, to sharpen up on these new intimidating powers. But an angry townsfolk was still heartbroken over the damage caused beforehand, and then put a bullet in his head. That was a soft sounding gun. A bullet into his head. Now at first the doctors actually didn't want to operate. Because of his powers, they didn't want to administer any anesthesia, and then he'd go all god mode and destroy everyone. Fair. But luckily Dr. Kozaneski agreed to perform surgery on the mutant. They changed their mind about how they felt about mutants. It was a nice moment. So not only did he survive, but he also joined the team right after that. We're off to a good start on this list, I'd say, yeah. Number 9, Exodus. Described as one of the most powerful mutants alive, Exodus is an Omega level telekinetic, and he can lift around 100 tons of weight, all telekinetically, like I just said. He was born in the 12th century and he made his first appearance in X Factor 92, and from birth, Bennett felt different. Like he had this power deep within him, something was there, but he wasn't quite sure what it was. Now at this time, he was an adult, he was a crusader who was best friends with the Black Knight of that era, Eobard Garrington. But then when he finally arrived to the Tower of Power all alone, he was exhausted. He had traveled far and wide to get there, and then when he arrived he heard a voice and it spoke to him asking if he was willing to risk everything to become powerful. And he's like, yes. Whoever that is, yes, definitely, yes. Then his powers manifested. So now in X-Men Legacy, he brought Professor X back from the dead, and then in New X-Men Volume 2, Issue 46, he regenerated damaged organs, which honestly, not bad for a guy who's now immortal as well. And before we continue on with this list, we want to ask you guys to go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying it. I mean, if you're still with us now, odds are you're liking it enough, so just give it a little tap, and then we'll get right back into this list. Easy peasy. Number 8, Strife. Making his debut in New Mutants issue 87, Strife was the clone of Nathan Summers, the son of Cyclops and Madeline Pryor. So he's a clone of Cable from the future, and he has this bad armor. He's a telepathic and telekinetic mutant, and unlike Cable, who has to devote his psionic powers to ensure this techno-organic virus doesn't get his right side as well, Strife doesn't need to worry about all that jazz. And obviously Apocalypse wanted this child. He wanted to raise the clone himself so that down the road he could one day claim the body as his own. Not a bad idea. Apocalypse named him Strife, and of course he had evil running through every lesson that he taught him. Number 7, Matthew Malloy. While some mutants seek out the hashtag Omega lifestyle, others just want an ordinary lifestyle. Not everybody wants superpowers, especially Matthew Malloy, that's for sure. I mean, his name alone, he doesn't have like a cool evil alias, he's just Matthew. Hey, it's Matthew. Old Eminem, Matthew Malloy. He appears for the first time in Uncanny X-Men Volume 3, Issue 23, and he doesn't last long. Spoilers, sad spoilers. But it's a good reason, kind of, not really. One day in Charleston, South Carolina, Matt and his wife Jules were having an argument. It was a little bit heated, and then all of a sudden she vaporized. Yeah, the Skrulls have great timing, I guess. And that of course traumatized him, and then a year later when he finally saw Jules' sister, his late wife's sister Alana, well, more bad stuff happened. He got so upset when he saw her and he started to remember all these things that his powers manifested, and he released this explosion of energy. Heartbroken energy. Alana's life was taken this time as well, so it's just getting worse and worse. His powers were uncontrollable. Multiple X-Men were biting the bullet after trying to stop this guy. So Tempest thought, you know what, let's just go back in time, and with the help of Professor X, also from the past, we can make sure Matthew's parents never meet and then never have him. Fair, good point. And the way Charles does it too is so casual. He's like, all right, ready? We're good. Let's go home. Number 6, Mastermind. Jason Wingard made his first appearance in X-Men issue 4. Now, he started off as a carnival mentalist, but was soon recruited into the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants from Magneto himself. He was needed for a very specific job. See, Jason, well rather Mastermind, was hired to use his illusionary powers to change Lorna Dane's memories so that she doesn't know that she's Magneto's daughter. Instead, she was made to believe that her parents had actually passed in a plane crash when she was just a wee child. Mastermind's power was also a necessity when it comes to taking over the country of Santo Marco. Mastermind was tasked to create an illusory army, and then he smiled as Magneto took over. He was like his little sidekick, little magician sidekick. He was like David Blaine, but like, you know, evil and a sidekick. Once Mastermind cast an illusion of Cyclops to surprise Magneto, great prank, awesome, but Magneto ended up using a magnetic blast back, and then Scarlet Witch was the only real one in the way. It's just a prank, dude, just a prank, relax. Number 5, Lactuca the Knower. Making their first appearance in Planet-Size X-Men yesterday, how lovely, Lactuca was a member of the Great Ring of Araco. Now their power could come in handy around the house. They simply know the location of everything, and yes, including that one shirt that you still can't find. Where is it? Maybe the cottage? Maybe it's at the cottage. They helped out Marvel Girl and Exodus actually when they had to move the entire island of Araco to Mars. Yeah, that's quite the move. All hands on deck. They're an omega level mutant with extreme spatial awareness, but it's still unknown if that means the universe that they're in, or if that also includes the multiverse. We're still trying to figure that out in comics. Either way, there's room on this list for that new mutant. Number 4, Maddie, aka The Weapon. Good nickname. Maddie made her first debut in Deadpool vs. Old Man Logan issue 1. She was a mutant who started to steal others' belongings in school. Now, she didn't mean to by any means, but they would just kind of teleport to her all of a sudden. Then one day when she was missing her father, he was working far away, she hadn't seen him in about a year, she accidentally teleported him to her. What a pleasant surprise. He was like mid-shovel too. Only thing was, this does a lot of damage to a human being, so they don't often survive this cosmic commute. So now she was detected by Cerebro, so Logan investigated what was going on. And that's when she ran into Wade, who also joined in on the fun. Now, in actuality, Maddie wanted to be captured by Genform so that she herself could understand her powers more. But then when Genform abducted her and did experiments, she was then forced to teleport these massive vehicles and structures over Deadpool in order to crush him. Now, the way Maddie helped him out was pretty cool, I gotta admit. She teleported Wolverine's claws into Wade's fists, and then he dug his way out. And yes, in case you were wondering, the claws were returned afterwards. Maddie took care of Genform's leader, Agent Hart, 2 months later herself. We love revenge. Nice. Number 3, Decimus Furius. Decimus Furius sounds like a Harry Potter spell. Decimus Furius made his first debut in Uncanny X-Force issue 1. He was born in Rome. Both of his parents sadly passed away when he was really young, so he had no choice but to live in the streets. So then around 281 AD, yeah, this was a little while ago, that's when his powers emerged. He started to attack people randomly until he was eventually locked up. He didn't really know what was going on, but it also didn't take long for his skills to be used in the Colosseum as a gladiator. He fought every day for his life for a few years, with freedom being that glorious prize that he's always chasing after. He was soon worshipped as the dark god Minotaur, so yeah, he was kind of killing it. He was picked as Apocalypse's final horseman, the horseman of war, of course, and he fought Deadpool, and then soon he fought the entire X-Force. This guy was a unit. He had war-filled psyche, so if you try and read his mind, it will backfire, and then you'll be overthrown with sorrow and hate. Plus, you don't want to get too close to this guy anyways, because one hit from his axe, and you'll soon have the cold thirst for war, just attacking people around you for no reason. Number 2, Iska. Iska the Unbeaten, there's a name for you. She made her first debut in X-Men Volume 5 issue 12 just last year, so also quite new. Iska was one of the many who lived on Okara. Now when her sister, Genesis, had 4 children, Iska forged the Scarab to celebrate, which was his epic sword divided into 4 parts. She gave it to her brother, Apocalypse, brother by marriage. Very important to say, brother by marriage, not blood brother. Now the Scarab was a symbol of the Genesis line of Okara, and when the mutants went to battle with the Amenthi Daemons, Iska betrayed her kind and then joined Annihilation's army. Traitor. I mean, well, her power is literally to not lose, so it made sense. Yeah, so she obtains what's called psychokinesis, so never play poker with her because you'll lose. Because she can't lose. She literally can't lose. One-on-one, battles, dance-offs, you name it, she'll win them all. Probability is manipulated in her favor, and on top of that, she can also shapeshift if need be. Like when she joined Annihilation, her body was then covered in all these occult symbols. And then when she's aligned with the X-Men, her skin turns from red to gold. How neat. Number 1, Gabriel Shepard. Making his debut in X-Men Volume 3, issue 36, Gabriel Shepard was the last of the proto-mutants. That's when the X-gene was first evolved. So that was like 700 years ago, and luckily he was the most powerful and average looking, so he took on new identities, always moved about, he played it safe. He was blending in as a human, until the X-Men tracked him down to ask him about all these proto-mutants. But Gabriel's powers were already in play here. See, he read their minds, and then learned that the other proto-mutants had been resurrected to be used just as a weapon. But they didn't say any of that in the pitch. So he got upset and attacked. Then Pixie sent him to a timeout in Antarctica. And then after he cooled down, pun intended, he had a conversation with Pixie about the past and then decided to never let proto-mutants be used again, including himself. And then he turned himself into pure energy. What a way to go. Kicking off the list at number 10, we have Hope Summers. Making her first debut in X-Men Volume 2, issue 205, Hope Summers is the first mutant born post-M-Day. She was born in Alaska and Cerebro just went off the charts. It went nuts. So the Purifiers immediately attacked. They were tipped off by a time-traveling Sentinel Nimrod. So Cable Cable came in at the same time and eventually saved her, but as for everybody else in that town, well, they didn't get so lucky. Cable saw the child as a messiah, the savior for mutants and humankind, but Bishop and the Purifiers were on a different page. They believed she would become a full-on supervillain. They thought the death toll would be 1 million after just 6 minutes. That's like, you can make rice in 6 minutes and then 1 million people are dead. That's bad news. That's bad news. And then after that, it would obviously only get worse, according to Bishop and his future knowledge. So the future clock was ticking. Hope learned how to fight by studying Cable, and the strain 88 virus that recharged Rogue's power would kill anybody with just one touch. It was so much that Rogue fell into a coma. But when Hope was taken from Mystique, she was pressed against Rogue's face, and not only did she survive, but she also healed Rogue at the same time. Just like Jean Grey, Hope too was attracting the Phoenix Force, so when the Avengers came along offering to protect the child later on, that just led into Avengers vs. X-Men. So yeah, she's a little important, we can say that. Number 9. Brother Nathan. Brother. Here we go. Making his first debut in Cable and Deadpool issue 16, Nathan Summers from Earth 58161 found peace. We'd love to see it. Now at this point, humans were done relying on television and all that crap. Instead, they used their imagination to explore and expand the humankind. How lovely is that? Wonderful. What a future. So our 616 Deadpool came along looking for the missing Cable, and that's where he ended up. He ended up here. Cable, or in this time, Brother Nathan that is, found Wade telekinetically and gave him the rundown. This new peaceful environment that he created wasn't actually boring like Wade believed. And only 3 minutes later, Wade was gone. He got out of there. He couldn't do it. Only Cannonball and Siren from this Earth followed him back through dimensions, so he ended up getting in trouble by this quick visit. Brother Nathan is cool though. He's a cool dude. There's a ban on weapons in this timeline, but Nathan had this cool looking spear with a ceremonial blue tassel under the blade. It wasn't for combat, but more for keepsake purposes. And look at him. He looks like a nice dude. He kind of looks like the Lord, dare I say. Also, this world is beautiful. It feels like No Man's Sky meets Wakanda. That's a nice place to be. And before we continue on with this list, if you want to go ahead and give us a thumbs up, that would be so great. It's so helpful here at the channel. You guys are the best. Now let's get right back into this awesome part 3. Let's do it. Number 8, White Sword. Among the many mutants residing on Okara, one was known simply as White Sword, or White Sword of the Ivory Spire, which rolls off the tongue a little nicer. He made his first appearance in X-Men Volume 5, Issue 12 during the Ten of Swords storyline. The White Sword and his army of 100 champions were sent to Ament. They battled and bought the mutants some time. So when the dust was settled, White Sword vanished. He never returned with his people again, and after the mutants were trapped in Ament, they saw all these demons who had been crucified, so they knew that the White Sword was there, just kicking all along. Now he was an ally to the mutants of Okara, but after that many years of endless war and resurrection, he eventually started to lose his mind, as one would. He would start attacking his friends as well as enemies. He just couldn't see the difference. I mean, as if living 1,000 years wasn't bad enough, imagine having to spend it constantly fighting for your life. But he is quite good at fighting. He's a master at sword combat, and if he does decide to heal you after a battle, you'll then be enlisted to his army by default. Nice. Number 7, Zorn. Jean Grey, this time from Earth 13729. This Jean first appeared in X-Men Battle of the Atom issue 1. Zorn, well rather Professor Zorn that is, was a teacher at the Jean Grey School for Higher Learning, and this is the past Jean grown up, right? That's important to say. Battle of the Atom was a crossover event where the future X-Men traveled back to the original 5, but they weren't exactly X-Men though. They were future Brotherhood of Mutant members, led by Charles Xavier II and Reyes, those two villain kids. So Jean Grey went by Zorn and rocked the skull helmet. It was a vibe, it was a pretty good look. The team wanted to force the OG back to the past and prevent their future. Now this version of Jean didn't have the Phoenix Force attached to her, but she was still able to take on Emma Frost. She was quite powerful. The dialogue alone is pretty great here. Jean is asking Jean what happens in the future. That makes her such a What a way to put it, right to the punch. Now this version of Jean can't go more than a few minutes without Zorn's containment helmet, and she has similar powers as our other Jean that we know, only they grow in strength this time around. It's trouble. Number 6, James Braddock Jr. First appearing in Captain Britain issue 9, Jamie Braddock Jr., the oldest son, of course, from Dr. James and Lady Elizabeth Braddock. And when I say oldest, he's 10 years older than his siblings, the twins Betsy and Brian Braddock. Now Jamie can manipulate reality, but it never started that way. He was brilliant when it came to finances, and if that's too by the books for you and not cool enough, he was also a pro race car driver. Nice. He found out about his brother's secret identity, and then he helped out here and there as a supporting character to his comic run. But Jamie started started to get behind on bills, so he resorted to crime. First starting with minor crimes, and then as these debts grew, he had to get really dark and grimy with his actions. Eventually, Dr. Crocodile kidnapped him, told Brian about his brother's crime work, and his brother kind of just let him go, right? Doc Croc was evil. After these experiments, Jamie was convinced that this reality that he lives in is actually just a dream, and his mind was just breaking. It was sad stuff. This just happened to be the tipping point for Jamie to meet his mutant power, which also happened to be the ability to warp and restructure reality in his immediate vicinity. Terrible, powerful combo right there. Troublesome. He views the world as invisible strings that he plucks away at. It's like Interstellar style. Murph. Number 5. Archangel. Warren's wings are pretty amazing as is, but during the X-Force storyline, he got the upgrade of a lifetime. He got techno-organic wings by Apocalypse after he became the horseman of death. The old HOD. Sometimes they work. I thought he was powerful before, but this is just another level. His feathers were much stronger this time around as the horseman, and he could fire them off like bullets. They could pierce right through steel, or he could use the wings to smash and fly through anything. Either or. The techno-organic wings regrew afterwards for a second time, along with the new blue skin tone to match Apocalypse. Now this form of Angel is hard to keep away. He often struggles to keep his heroic side in control. If Apocalypse made me a horseman of death and I got all that extra power, I'd be pretty annoyed having it taken away every now and then. I get it. Number 4. Nathaniel Grey. This mutant is from an alternate reality, like some of our other ones that we talk about. He styles himself as a mutant shaman, loaded with precognition, telepathy, telekinesis. Who is he? Let's talk about him. Coming from Earth 295, artificially created from Sinister and the High Lord Apocalypse, Nate Grey is made of genetic materials from Cyclops and Jean Grey. He was created to be the ultimate telepath, and I think it kind of worked. He was made as a power bid to go against Apocalypse as well, and he's classified as an Omega level mutant, the most powerful psionic in any reality. Not just that one, and he's near omnipotent. So he's basically a living god. Neat. Just a fraction of power was enough to overload Omega and Mimic in Dark X-Men issue 2. Sentry and Nate Grey both fought Galactus in Dark X-Men issue 3, so it's fair to throw him on this list, I'd say. Number 3. Selene. AKA Black Priestess, Selene made her first debut in New Mutants issue 9. She was born 17,000 years ago, give or take, right after the Ocean's, ate Atlantis. She was an enemy of the sorcerer Kulan Gath in Uncanny X-Men 191, and her powers are pretty spectacular, and also terrifying. She can drain the life force out of you in order to live longer. All she has to do is come into physical contact, and you're toast, mister. No fist bumping Selene in this house. Her tribe realized she was powerful right from the get-go, way back when humankind was just starting to evolve, really. So her tribe's elders all sacrificed their lives to make her more powerful and everlasting. That's a solid tribe, ride or die right there. They obviously chose die, but still, they're riding a little bit. The character Selene from the Underworld series, funny enough, was actually based off of this Selene from the comics, and I can totally see Kate Beckinsale now every time I see her, and so will you. Number 2. Apocalypse. Making his first steps in Marvel graphic novel issue 17, he was born nearly 5,000 years ago at the edge of the Valley of the Kings in ancient Egypt. He was born with gray skin and had blue lines all over his face. He looked different, so he was abandoned by his tribe. He was raised with the nomads with the idea that only the strong survive. So Apocalypse was killed by agents of Ozymandias, but was later revived thanks to his mutant abilities. Where to even begin with his Omega level mutant's abilities? I mean, self-molecular manipulation allows for him to alter his physical form for starters. He's also a genius. Even before being modified by the celestial ship, Apocalypse was already living for thousands of years. All he has to do is drift into a gentle coma. Number 1 trick to getting your beauty sleep. A coma, that ought to do it. X-Men Age of Apocalypse from 1995, we see just how big and bad this guy can get. Oscar Isaac also had a swing at him in X-Men Apocalypse on the big screen, and I thought he was pretty scary, but when he gets big, it's just nightmare fuel. Check it out. And finally, number 1, Onslaught. Making his first debut in X-Men issue 15, Onslaught was a sentient psionic entity created by the minds of Charles Xavier and Magneto. What a combo! So when the X-Men were fighting the Acolytes, Wolverine hit Magneto, and then in turn, Magneto ripped the adamantium from Wolverine's bones, which I gotta say, I thought hangnails were bad. This sounds way worse. His healing factor had to work overtime, and Xavier was beyond upset, so he shut down Magneto's mind. He just made him completely catatonic. But during this moment, all of Magneto's lust for hate and violence leaked into Charles' consciousness, creating this new personality, Onslaught. Onslaught is pretty OP. He has the ability to tap into the psychic resources of the astral plane, where he can then manipulate matter and energy. Telepathy, telekinesis, electromagnetic manipulation, just a combo you don't want to face in any way.